right, it's that time of a Friday morning. All you petrol heads come a little bit closer because we probably have two of the biggest petrol heads in South Africa with us, Gavin and Chira from overdrivetv.co.za, and they bring us news on two very, very sexy cars, one of which who is down in the garage. And here they are. Morning, boys.
Morning, Graham. How are you?
Good, man, but it's Ewan up here.
It's Ewan. I'm terribly sorry. It's a little bit faint down here. There's about 9 floors of concrete between us. But we are joined, myself and Gabba down here, of course, as we are most mornings. And we're joined by two brand new cars from Japan. This is the brand new Honda CRZ, the latest edition. And that is the new Toyota Auris.
Yes, absolutely. Now, if you're like me and you pretend that you're escaping a collapsing star system in an escape pod when you leave the office every day, boy, do we have a car for you. This looks exactly like an escape pod from Star Wars.
You know, there was this one Tuesday where I really wanted to sort of just feel like I was getting out of the city a bit. And this sort of been perfect.
This is absolutely perfect for it. Now, the thing is, it's kind of got a retro-futuristic vibe going on. It's like, it's as if Honda went back into 1996 and thought, well, what concept cars were we making then? What did the future look like in 1996? And then they made this.
You know what I think this is?
Yeah.
Honda has this sort of stigma attached to it,
Yeah.
right? They're favored by the grey-haired crowd.
Absolutely.
And I think they're trying to make their cars so modern and so unattractive to the sort of, people in their autumn years. For instance, those seats are so uncomfortable.
Old people will hate those seats, honestly. They really will. But I mean, everything inside there, it's like a starfighter. The graphics, it looks like the Japanese stock exchange. There's so many lights going on. But having said that, there's also parts of Honda that endears them to the people in their autumn years. Everything is so clearly marked. The typeface on every button is about this big, and it's...
Yes, and there's no symbols. You can't get confused. No.
Absolutely. It says radio.
Radio.
Heater. Yeah, exactly.
CD. So the volume knob's about that.
Absolutely. Now, this is a hybrid. This is the CRZ hybrid, which means it has two engines, essentially.
Yes.
A petrol and an electric engine.
Exactly, but it's what you would call a mild hybrid. So that means that if you look at a Toyota Prius, it'll do some of its kilometers on electricity alone. This won't. What this will do is the electric and the petrol always work together. So it's kind of like an electric boost system, which is...
Absolutely, and they've actually taken that quite seriously, because Honda's going back into Formula One next year, and they've got something which is essentially a CRZ system on this car, which stands for kinetic energy recovery. And
yes, but does it work?
Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. There's a button on the steering wheel you're meant to push. I kept pushing it. Nothing really seemed to happen, but I might just be getting it wrong.
Well, you just Mark Webbering it.
Exactly.
Because he can't get it right either.
As I say, CRZ never works for Mark Webber, so I felt a bit like him driving this car. But at 357,000 Rand cheap.
You know what? If you think of this as just a hybrid, you're going to think it's too expensive. I think you need to think of this as a sports car.
Yeah.
And quite interestingly, when the engineers were developing this car, they bought a Mini, from Mini, I imagine, and they bought a Lotus Elise, and they said, right, these are the two cars that we want this to feel like. And I thought this was going to be very boring to drive, but it's actually not. This is a very sporty car.
It revs. We shouldn't be surprised with VTEC engines, but this revs for days.
Yes, the third gear just goes on forever.
I drove all the way to Franschhoek in third. When I got to Franschhoek, I changed it to fourth. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's so much fun, this car. It really is.
All right, well, let's go on to another part of Japan. So follow us round over here.
Yeah.
We've got the brand new Toyota Auris for you. Now, this is Toyota's C segment fighter. Now, in motoring journalist speak, that just means premium, medium-sized hatchback. And the thing is, Gav, Toyota does so well elsewhere, the Hilux, the Fortuner, and other segments, that you'd sort of think, why bother really going into this very, very crowded segment of the market?
Well, I think the reason they bother is because they want to make more money, Chira. And I mean, just look at it. I mean, looks-wise, Toyota haven't really set the world alight recently, and this is not a bad-looking car at all.
No, it's a few things I got out of the press release which really made me laugh. So it has something called keen look eyebrows. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it's the look a wrestler gives you before he turns you upside down.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there's some very, very odd Japanese terms in the press release.
Yes.
But But getting into the interior, Joe, we always find Toyota don't quite get it as right as the Germans do.
You know what? If they could sort of just go to Volkswagen and say, hey, how about doing an interior for us?
Do some insider trading, really.
It's not bad in there. It's very comfortable, actually. Those seats are about 100 times more comfortable than the ones in there. And the dashboard is quite modern these days, and you've got a touch screen, and it does all the, reverse camera, and you Bluetooth your iPad and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But they insist on putting in a quartz clock. You'll remember those from sort of watches you get in Lucky Packs.
Completely. And I think it's become like a Toyota design feature. They're sort of like, well, it's become our kind of trademark. We have to put in the digital clock into the car. I mean, even the Lexi have those.
Yes, which is the plural for Lexus, a word we just made up, actually.
Absolutely. Now, Shiro, we only picked this up yesterday. I haven't driven it. You've driven it.
I have.
What's it like?
Do you know what this car doesn't have, Gav?
What's that?
A turbo.
That is unbelievable.
When was the last time you drove a car without a turbocharger?
1996.
Well, this doesn't have one, just got a 1.6. There'll be 5 cars in the range, and it's the most affordable way to get into the C segment. So if you're looking to upgrade from the B segment, these start at under 200,000 Rand.
And will they make a hot one, Joe?
Yes, there'll be a hot one of this, Ewan, I promise.